they only find it after midnight. Long-haul truckers, restless travelers, lost hitchhikers driving through stretches of highway they don't recognize. It's not on any map. No signs lead to it, and yet, one turn off the main road and the city is there. Street lamps humming with amber light, gas stations open, a diner with a jukebox playing songs no one remembers recording, shops, sidewalks, even people smiling, talking, living as if the city had always been there, but only at night. They call it by different names: Graybridge, Evenshade, Low Hollow, but no two accounts agree. What they all remember, however, is the man at the edge of town, an old figure in a faded uniform, always standing under a single streetlight, never speaking, only watching. Some say he's the last to leave before sunrise. Others say he never leaves at all. And when these travelers return during the day to prove it to someone, to take a photo, to find what they saw, there's nothing there. No streets, no lights, no buildings, just empty fields, and the faint imprint of footsteps on dirt leading nowhere. The city never appears in the same place twice. One trucker swears he found it along a forgotten exit off I-70 Kansas. A night nurse in Alabama remembers stopping there after a detour through fog. A couple from Oregon found it when their GPS rerouted them through what was supposed to be an abandoned mining town. And yet, every map shows the same thing afterward. Nothing. Just fields, hills, forest, no buildings, no foundations, no ruins, as if the land had never been touched. What's consistent is the time. The city only appears between 12:01 a.m. and 4:17 a.m. No earlier, no later, and only under certain conditions: fog, low moonlight, or during radio static. Inside, it feels real. You can walk the streets, smell rain on pavement, hear conversations from strangers who speak perfect English but refer to landmarks that don't exist anywhere else. Most report an uncanny calm, like stepping into a dream you're not sure you're supposed to remember. Clocks inside the city move normally, but when travelers return to their vehicles, hours are missing, sometimes entire night. No receipts, no phone records, no signal, except sometimes a single radio station can be heard faint and low, broadcasting from the edge of nowhere. Welcome back, traveler. And then it fades. Just static, just silence, just the road again. The stories were dismissed at first: highway fatigue, shared delusion, urban legends drifting across truck stop diners, and late night forums, until someone didn't come back. In 2016, a man named Andrew Fallon, a commercial trucker from Nevada, radioed in just before 3 a.m. He said he was stopping for gas in a town that wasn't on the map. That was his last transmission. His truck was found idling on the side of Route 191, headlights on, doors locked from the inside, engine cold. Dashcam footage captured hours of empty road, except for a brief clip at 2:57 a.m., a flicker of neon signs in the distance, and a voice on the radio saying, "You're almost here, Andrew." The footage ends. But the strangeness didn't stop there. In the weeks following his disappearance, two separate people, hundreds of miles apart, reported seeing a man matching Andrew's description, working the counter at a gas station. Same face, same eyes, same name tag. But when asked, he only smiled and said, "I've always been here." Then the lights flickered, and the station was empty. Security footage from both locations failed to record anything, except a timestamp that read 4:17 a.m., looping back again and again. Other travelers who found the city report odd gaps in memory. Some forget entire conversations. Others can't recall how they got there. One woman reported seeing herself across the street older, watching. The last thing she remembered was the man under the street lamp. He raised his hand. She waved back. She woke up in her own car the next morning, engine running, gas tank full. She doesn't remember driving. She's never found the city again. But every so often, at night, her radio picks up static, and a familiar voice whispers, "We remember you." There are no souvenirs, no receipts, nothing to prove the city was ever real, except one recurring detail: the man under the street lamp. He's always at the same intersection, the far end of the main road, where the glow from the last lamp fades into darkness. Tall, pale, wearing a faded jacket with brass buttons. His face is ordinary, forgettable until you try to describe it. Then it slips. What people remember isn't what he looked like, but how they felt standing near him. Time slowing down, the air turning still, the sense that, just for a second, he could see everything about them. No one has ever heard him speak, but multiple travelers claim he nodded just once before they turned around, as if granting them permission to leave, or warning them not to stay. Some say he holds something: a book, a key, a watch that ticks backward. Others say he's not a man at all, but a beacon, a signal to whatever built the city or keeps it from dissolving before dawn. In one rare case, a traveler took a photo of him through a fogged windshield. The developed image showed no figure, only the lamp, but the light formed a perfect spiral, like a fingerprint. Printed at the bottom, in faint red ink, was a phrase, "You were never lost. You were called." Some now believe the city isn't a place, but a filter, a space that selects who sees it, who enters it, and who stays. And the man under the light? He doesn't guard the city. He counts who makes it out. Some believe the city is a mirage of memory, a place stitched together from the fragments of forgotten towns, abandoned homes, and lives that slip through the cracks. That it appears only to those already drifting mentally, physically, emotionally, not lost, but uninjured. Others insist it's a trap, a test, a threshold between waking and whatever waits just beyond the veil of the familiar. The buildings? Constructs. The people? Echoes. The man beneath the light? The final question. More radical theories claim the city is not a place in our world at all, but a holding space, a catchment area for those fated to vanish. Before accidents, before disappearances, before they stop showing up in anyone's memories. And then there are those who think the city isn't trying to deceive or trap anyone. It's trying to warn, to find the right ones, the listeners, the ones who can still hear the broadcast at 3:17 a.m. on a radio, no longer tuned to anything. The message? Always the same. You've almost made it. Don't look back. And yet, every time someone describes the city, it changes just a little. A street that didn't exist before, a face they forgot until now, a light blinking in the fog where there shouldn't be one. Which begs the question, if the city only exists at night, what happens when someone refuses to leave before sunrise? No one has an answer, only this, that the next night, someone else might find their way in, turn the corner, and see a new figure under the streetlight. Someone familiar, someone they almost recognize. It always rings at 2:47 a.m. Exactly. Same tone, same number, same voice. Every night, for the past 17 nights, Clara Ramos has answered a call from a number that shouldn't exist. 4159XXXXXX, a San Francisco exchange that was retired in 1975. The first time it rang, she let it go to voicemail. The message was only static, then a faint whisper, "I'm still here." The next night, she answered. It was a man's voice. Calm. Familiar. He asked how she was doing. He said he missed her. She asked for his name. He paused, then said something that made her blood run cold. "We used to talk all the time, back when you were small, before the fire." She doesn't remember a fire. Each night, he calls. Same time, same questions. His voice doesn't age. And when she checks her phone in the morning, there's no record of the call. No ringtone. No audio log. Only one change. Each morning, Clara wakes up forgetting it ever happened, until something, a smell, a word, a flicker of movement pulls the memory back. And then she remembers. The number called again, and the voice knew more than it should. Clara lives alone in a suburban neighborhood in Bakersfield, California. No landline, no vintage phone. Just a standard mobile plan and a sleep app that tracks disturbances. Before the calls began, there was nothing unusual, until one morning, her phone's sleep log flagged a spike in ambient noise at 2:47 a.m. Clara didn't remember anything unusual, just a vague feeling of having spoken to someone in a dream. But the call logs were blank. No missed call, no voicemail. Only the app captured it, labeling it simply, external voice detected. After the third night, Clara began recording audio manually. She left her phone beside the bed, screen off. At exactly 2:47, the phone lit up. No ringtone, no vibration, just voice. Do you still hum when you're nervous? You used to, when you were 5, before the accident. The next morning, the recording was gone. She called her service provider. The representative said the number she provided, 415-935-1042, hadn't been active since the 12th of July, 1975. The account holder was listed as Emilio Ramos. Her father, but Clara's father, died in a house fire in 1973. She was 3 years old, or at least that's what her mother told her. Now, each night the voice returns warmer, more detailed. It talks about things she doesn't recall. A green tricycle, a song about birds, a crawl space under the stairs. She no longer trusts her memory or the calendar, because each time the voice calls, she checks the date, and it's always the 11th of July. On the 9th night, Clara asked the voice a direct question. "Where are you calling from?" The line went silent. Then, from when, not where. And suddenly, she remembered something she shouldn't have. A red rotary phone at the foot of her childhood bed. A lullaby that ended with static. A man's voice saying, "Don't answer unless I say your name first." She hadn't thought about that in decades. Hadn't known it was even real. But now, when she looked at old family photos, one image stood out. There she was, 4 years old, sitting on the carpet, smiling. And next to her, just outside the frame, was a red phone cord. But here's the part that changed everything. When she enhanced the photo, the phone's number plate was clearly visible. It read 415-935-1042, the same number that kept calling. She brought the photo to a technician for verification, but when he scanned it, the number disappeared. The cord faded, and in the digital file, the image was corrupted pixels rearranged in a shape that looked like sound wave peaks. Later that week, Claire received a call during the day. A first. She picked up. No voice. Just breathing. Then, a child, her own voice, from an old home video singing a tune she couldn't remember learning. "Ring, ring. What's your name?" Say it wrong and lose the game. The call ended. When she checked her voicemail later that day, it was filled with identical messages, dozens of them, all timestamped 2:47 a.m., but none listed in her phone's call history. Each one started the same. "Hello, Clara? You remember me now, don't you?" And the last one said, "I never stopped calling. You just stopped listening." There's no phone anymore, no landline in the house, no call log, no way to trace the signal. And yet the number appears etched in voicemail headers, whispered in background static, scratched faintly on the condensation of her bathroom mirror. The object isn't the phone, it's the number itself, a sequence of digits that shouldn't be active, but behaves like something alive. Clara tried blocking it. The calls still came. She changed her phone. New SIM. New carrier. The number still found her. Each time she answers, the voice knows more. It speaks about things she hasn't told anyone, things she herself doesn't fully recall. A neighbor's fall, a matchbook with her childhood address, a drawing she once made of a man with no face labeled "Dad" in shaky crayon. But it's not just her. A technician who examined her phone claimed he began receiving strange voicemails too. He deleted them. His phone crashed. When he tried restoring the data, his device displayed one file, 1,975. WAV. Inside was Claire's voice singing, only it wasn't a recording she recognized. She was humming a tune she'd never learned, a lullaby her father used to sing to her, one she hadn't heard since the night of the fire. Except Claire has no memory of the fire, no scars, no trauma, only that voice, that number. And now, a new line in every message. "When you're ready, just call me back." And here's what she fears most. There's no one to call, but every time she picks up the phone, her finger hovers over the keypad, and she swears just once she saw a 6-bar of signal appear, one that didn't match any known network. Technically, the number shouldn't work. Its prefix was retired, its record sealed, yet it continues to call, not from a tower, not from a traceable source, but from somewhere that reacts only to Clara. Psychologists suggest she may be manifesting auditory trauma echoes from a childhood loss, a grief so deep it rewrote her memory. But that doesn't explain why the voice knew things no one else could, why others began hearing it too. Some believe the number is part of a temporal echo, a fragment of the past caught in a loop, reaching out through analog signals and fractured networks. That Clara is picking up a residual transmission from the moment of her father's death. But that doesn't explain how the number adapts, how it knows the date, how it whispers things that haven't happened yet. A darker theory: the number is a hook, not just a connection to the past, but an invitation to return, to follow, to leave this world behind. Each time she answers, the voice sounds clear, less like a memory, more like a person waiting just on the other side of something thin. The final call came on what should have been her father's birthday. She didn't answer, but her phone lit up anyway without ringing. The screen showed only a message. One ring left. Make it count. She hasn't received another call since. But sometimes, at 2:47 a.m., she hears the faint click of a rotary dial, a sound no modern phone should make. And some part of her wonders, not if the call will come again, but if next time, she'll be the one calling. In the town of Alavik, Finland, everyone remembers the same building, a massive stone structure in the center of town, tall, domed, with weathered columns and a brass plaque above the door. Locals describe it as the old government hall. Children were warned not to go near it. Teenagers dared each other to sneak inside. Elderly residents recall voting there years ago. The problem? It's not there. It never was. Satellite images show only a flat square of cracked concrete. City records list no government hall, no blueprints, no land deed, no demolition notice, just an empty lot. When architects interviewed the townspeople, over 70% gave identical floor plans, the same number of windows, the same staircase leading to nowhere, the same smell of wood, varnish, and damp stone. Some even remember the inside: dust-covered desks, a wall of typewriters, a faded flag they couldn't identify. But when shown drone footage of the space, just gravel and weeds, they became confused. Not frightened, not angry, just quietly unsettled. "It used to be there," one man said. "Maybe it still is, just not for cameras." And here's what no one can explain. Every time someone films or photographs the empty lot, the footage glitches, the image blurs, and in one frame, always just one, the building appears. Alavik is a quiet, forest-bordered town in northern Finland. Population just under fear, null. No tourism, no industry, just pine trees, gray skies, and the kind of silence you grow used to over decades. At the center is a square locals call Halliton Plaza. The name translates roughly to the plaza without rule. It's a gravel pit surrounded by overgrown benches, rusting bike racks, and a few vending machines that haven't worked in years. But that's not how people remember it. They recall Halliton Plaza as a government complex, a functional, intimidating building from the Soviet era, built in brutalist style. Old men recall filing papers there. Women remember picking up ration books during hard winters. Even local children say they've seen it in dreams, always covered in snow, always echoing with typewriter clicks. Yet no official in Helsinki has any record of such a building. In 1998, an urban renewal project attempted to survey the plaza. All electronic equipment failed. Cameras overheated. Laser measures returned impossible geometry angles that couldn't exist. A second team, using analog tools, got further. They measured the dimensions of the empty lot and found it was too large, larger inside the perimeter than outside, as if the space itself were stretching to hold something that wasn't there but had been. And then there's the static. Whenever someone brings a radio near the plaza, the dial locks at 108.0 FM. A voice speaks in broken Finnish, faint, robotic, but always the same phrase: "Do not forget the building. The building remembers you." The first real investigation began after a local teacher, Marja Lettinen, assigned her students a simple essay, described the government building in Halliton Plaza. Every student submitted the same thing: Sam architecture, same description of the brass plaque above the front door. For the people who were removed, none of them had collaborated. Some were too young to have ever seen the site before it was paved. Marja was disturbed. She showed the papers to her husband, who worked in local zoning records. He assured her the building never existed. Not only that, it was legally forbidden to build on that parcel of land. Soil tests in the 1,982nd found irregular mineral formation. The ground was called memory toxic. A week later, Marja disappeared. Not missing, erased. Her home stood empty. Her school records were gone. Even her students, who'd spoken her name days earlier, claimed not to know who she was. All except one boy. He said she had visited him the night before she vanished. She'd brought a notebook. Inside were sketches, not of a building, but of a spiral drawn over and over, tighter and tighter, until the pen tore the page. At the bottom she had written, "It's not the building that's missing. It's the world around it that's been changed." That notebook is now gone, but the plaza still remains. And recently, a new phenomenon has begun. Tourists, visitors who've never been to Alavik have started describing the building too, in dreams, in scattered journal entries. Some have even arrived in the town by accident, saying they were drawn to it. One visitor claimed she saw the building clearly under moonlight. She stepped toward it. The next morning, she was still in the plaza, but her shoes were soaked with melted snow. It hadn't snowed in Alavik for 3 months. There is no official name. Locals simply call it the building, always capitalized, always implied. Descriptions of its appearance remain eerily consistent across age groups. Gray stone walls streaked with something darker, a brass door with no handle, 4 narrow windows that never reflect light, and at its center, a spiral dome taller than any other structure in town, yet casting no shadow. Architects who study the sketches say the proportions are non-Euclidean angles that should collapse under their own weight. One researcher fed hand-drawn elevations into a 3D modeling program. The rendering glitched. The spiral became an infinite descent, collapsing inward, endlessly. When reversed, the model revealed another structure hidden inside the geometry, a perfect cube. The computer labeled it archive. No one typed that. Some believe the building is a mnemonic parasite, a thought construct that implants itself in human memory, then feeds off repetition. That's why so many people describe it the same way. It wants to be remembered. Others think it's a psychogeographic scar, a place where history itself was erased, and the building is the residue of what was lost. But the most unsettling possibility is this, that the building isn't an illusion. It's real. It simply doesn't exist in this present. And what the people of Olivik remember is not what was there, but what's still there, just one layer beneath reality, just out of phase. Some say the spiral atop the dome isn't decorative. It's a lock, a seal, a mechanism to hold something in. And every time someone remembers the building, the spiral loosens. There are several competing theories, none confirmed, all unsettling. The most common is the Mandela loop hypothesis, that the town of Olivik once contained this building in a prior version of history, a forked timeline, overwritten during some unknown event. The structure was erased, but the memory wasn't, like residual heat on a pillow long after the person is gone. Others suspect external interference, that the building is not human in origin, but some kind of observer node, a structure meant to record, store, or influence memory on a collective scale. The spiral dome acts as a transmitter, and those who remember it are tuned to the wrong frequency. A third, more folkloric theory claims the building houses the forgotten people, individuals, ideas, entire events that no longer fit within our current reality. It is not haunted, it is populated. Those who vanish like Marja Leitonen aren't lost. They've simply crossed the threshold and become part of what the building remembers. Olivik's local council has quietly blocked all future construction on Hallaton Plaza. The land is zoned as memorial preservation, though no one recalls what is being preserved. But sometimes, visitors report seeing new details. A flicker of light between trees, a brass plaque under the dirt, a door outline faintly visible on the wall of the neighboring bakery. One night, a drone captured infrared footage of the square. For 5 frames, exactly 1/5 of a second, the building was there. Stone, shadowed, whole. When the frames were slowed down, text could be seen above the door. To be forgotten is to be freed. To be remembered is to remain. No one knows who wrote it. No one claims to have seen it in person. But the plaza is not empty. Not entirely. Not anymore. Because lately, when locals pass by after sunset, they swear they hear something just beneath the wind. Thank you for remembering us. It arrived with no return address, folded inside a plain envelope, brittle and red-inked, smelling of parchment and ash. No sender, no note, just one item, a hand-drawn map, but not of any known place. Its roads twisted unnaturally, its scale shifted mid-page, and in the lower right corner, faint but unmistakable, was a tiny black dot, labeled simply, "You are here." Lena Markov, a retired cartographer from Prague, had never seen anything like it. She assumed it was an art piece, until she noticed something terrifying. The dot moved. Wherever she walked, the map updated in real time, without ink, without motion, as if something beneath the paper was tracking her. She tested it. She walked in circles. The dot followed. She took a train. The dot relocated. And then, new roads began to appear. Roads that didn't exist. Dead ends that twisted into forests where no forest stood. Paths that led into empty buildings and never came back out. The map didn't show the world. It showed what came next. And people who followed it too far, they stopped appearing on any other map at all. The map doesn't correspond to any known geography. No city names. No legends. Just twisted lines, some labeled, others not. Rivers that run uphill, bridges that stop mid-air, and a boundary at the edge of the paper labeled in faded ink. Beyond this, you forget. At first, the map matched Lena's apartment block in Prague. Same alleys, same cafes, even the pattern of rooftop chimneys. But after 3 days, it changed. A new street appeared. A curved, narrow road marked Wicks Hollow. Lena checked the satellite images. Nothing there, just an abandoned lot, fenced off and silent. But when she visited it in person, there was a gate, old iron, unlocked, and inside, a path twisting exactly as shown on the map wound through buildings that weren't there the day before. She tried photographing them. The photos showed only emptiness, but the map now showed details. Windows, doors, interior markings, as if the buildings had always existed just out of view. She brought a friend with her the next day. They saw nothing, just gravel and fog. But Lena saw the gate again, and the map updated, showing only her. Later, her friend noticed something else. Lena's location no longer tracked on GPS. Her phone worked. Her steps made noise, but she no longer appeared on any digital map. only the parchment one. And that's when Lena noticed a new label, scribbled beneath her moving dot, claimed. Lena began documenting the map's changes. She sketched each update by hand, compared it to her own movements. The more she walked, the more the map shifted new alleys, hidden stairwells, entire districts folding into existence. At first, it fascinated her. Then it began to warn her. One night, a red line appeared, a thick, pulsing path labeled "Do Not Follow." It cut through a forested area near the city's outskirts, known locally as the Old Varnon Woods, long abandoned due to soil collapse. Naturally, Lena went anyway. She followed the map past the official boundary fence, into fog that grew unnaturally thick. Every few steps, she glanced down the dot, moved forward. Then something changed. The trees became silent. Her phone lost signal. The light dimmed, but her shadow remained, as if lit from below. And then, the dot stopped. She had reached the edge of the red line. Ahead, a tunnel not marked on any municipal record, overgrown, arched in black stone. The map labeled it simply, "Here, you exit." Lena stood at the threshold. Something about it felt final. She turned around and the path behind her was gone. No forest, no clearing, just an unmarked field. Panicked, she took a photo. The image showed only blankness. She was still standing, still breathing, but according to every device, every satellite, every system, Lena Markov no longer existed. In the map, it now showed only one thing, a growing spiral, and a word that hadn't been there before, observer. The map is drawn in red ink, faded, but never dry. The parchment is soft, warm to the touch, like skin left too long in sun. There are no signatures, no seals, just a pattern of fine, vein-like lines visible under UV light, almost like capillaries. Lena tried copying it once. The copy came out blank. Another time, she scanned it. The image appeared normal until she zoomed in. Embedded in the pixels, layered behind the roads, were words in dead languages. Akkadian, Proto-Norse, and one unidentifiable script that matched carvings found in submerged ruins in the Baltic Sea. The map updated only for Lena, but its predictions became anticipatory. It showed rooms and buildings before she entered them. It marked conversations before they happened, an X labeled "voice heard" near an empty stairwell, where later someone whispered her name. And most disturbing, it began marking people. Strangers she passed on the street would briefly appear as black dots, sometimes with labels "witness," "follower," "redundant." And once on a cold morning, when she passed a man in a long gray coat, the map added a symbol she'd never seen, a circle with a line drawn through her dot. The man never turned around. But later that day, the map refused to update. It froze for nearly 12 hours. When it came back to life, it was no longer a map. It was a door, drem, top down, ornate, closed. And beneath it, in new ink, "You've gone too far, but we've been waiting." Most maps are meant to represent reality, but this one doesn't record geography. It writes it. Some theorists believe Lena's map is an ancient navigational artifact not made for travel through space, but through perception, a key that only responds to certain kinds of minds. Solitary, curious, unremembered, people who move through the world without leaving footprints. Others see it as a cartographic virus, a living pattern that adapts to its host, not guiding them somewhere new, but separating them from shared reality. With every turn, it reroutes not roads, but relationships, memories, even history. Lena no longer appears in surveillance footage. Her bank accounts froze automatically. No flagged error, no fraud alert. Just erasure. Only the map recognizes her now, and it no longer labels her claimed. It now reads, returned. One researcher attempted to trace the ink on Lena's original map. Under chemical analysis, the pigment wasn't ink at all. It was hemoglobin. Human. Type AB negative. But whose blood? The lab report listed only a single word in its results. Author, unknown. And then there's the final note Lena wrote before she vanished entirely. Found in a hotel room, left under the map itself. It's not a map. It's a contract. The more you follow it, the more it knows where you belong. No one has seen Lena since, but in a small antique store in Vilnius, a map was recently discovered, folded in a plain envelope. It bears no labels, only one phrase, handwritten in faint red ink. To the next one, "You are here." They found it in his locker, a plain spiral-bound notebook. No name, no school emblem, just one word on the cover, written in blocky, childlike pencil. After, it belonged to Elias Dunn, a quiet, unremarkable student who vanished from Ridgewood High School 3 days before midterms. No signs of struggle, No goodbye. One moment he was there, second row, fourth seat, then nothing. Inside the notebook, 147 pages, all handwritten, all dated after the day he disappeared. Each page describes an event small to catastrophic: a broken arm in gym class, a teacher's unexpected resignation, a car crash on Route 17, a lightning strike during the homecoming game. At first, it seemed like fiction, but the dates lined up, and the accidents began happening, exactly as written. Even stranger, some pages included details before they were public, names that hadn't been released, weather patterns no one could have predicted. Now, the journal sits in a locked drawer in the principal's office, but it's still being read, because page 92 ends with a single, unfinished sentence. On the 12th of November, at exactly 2:46 p.m., the school will, and no one knows what comes next, except maybe Elias, wherever or whenever he is now. Ridgewood High is nothing special. Red brick, flickering hallway lights, a row of lockers with chip paint and half-broken locks. The kind of school where the loudest things are, the morning announcements and the hum of vending machines. Nothing ever really happened there until the journal. Elias Dunn had been a sophomore. No disciplinary record, no history of illness, no mention of him in any club, team, or after-school activity. He simply existed quietly until he didn't. The last confirmed sighting was at 2:44 p.m. on the 19th of October. Security footage showed him walking toward the south stairwell. He turned the corner. The next camera, 15 feet away, never recorded him exiting. In those 2 minutes, Elias vanished. In the days that followed, the notebook was found. It didn't sit neatly in his locker. It wasn't stacked under books. It was placed centered, clean, and open to the first page. A note was written in the corner in red ink. This is not a warning. This is a record. Each page was dated with future events, most within the school, some across town, a few involving global headlines. Each entry precise in tone, like an eyewitness writing before the fact. What made it stranger? The entries continued even after Elias vanished, even after the school was locked down. New pages appeared handwritten in the same neat print, same ink, same hand. No cameras caught the notebook being touched. No one saw who wrote them. And yet, every Monday, a new page waited, as if Elias were still attending class, still watching. At first, the school dismissed the journal as a prank, until one entry described a lab fire down to the minute, location, and the teacher's burned hand. It happened 3 days later, exactly as written. Then came the swim team bus crash, described in chilling detail. Rain slicks the road, tire blows, driver swerves, 2 students injured, 1 concussed, Route 17, 4:11 p.m. Administrators tried to confiscate the notebook. They locked it in a drawer, but the next morning, it wasn't there. It was back in Elias's locker, open to a new page, undated. The boy who reads this alone will be gone by dusk. They never figured out who it referred to. But that day, a freshman named Caleb Dorn walked home early. He hasn't been seen since. Then came the entry that changed everything. The 12th of November, 2:46 p.m., the sound will come from beneath the gym. Windows will shatter. The bell will ring, but no one will pull it. Do not run. Do not speak her name. Teachers wanted to evacuate the school before that day, but the principal refused. He believed it was fear-mongering, so they waited. The 12th of November arrived. At 2:46 p.m., every clock in the school stopped. A noise low, metallic, like bending rebar, rose from the gymnasium floor. Windows along the south wing cracked, then shattered. The bell rang 3 times, but no one was near the court. And somewhere in the crowd, a girl screamed a name. One no one recognized. One not listed in any records. After that, the journal changed. The writing was no longer neat. It became fragmented, jagged sometimes in languages no one could translate. But every page still ended the same way. Elias was here. Elias is here. Elias will be here. The journal is nothing special on the surface. A standard spiral-bound notebook. 200 pages. Slightly weathered. Ink smudges. Corner creased. No brand label. No barcode. But under UV light, faint symbols emerge between the line's glyphs, spiraling inward like clock gears. Every 10th page is stitched, not glued. No one can explain why. The paper is warm to the touch. It smells faintly of old paper and ozone. Some say it pulses ever so slightly, like it's breathing. Several students tried to destroy it. One tried to burn a page only for the flame to extinguish without smoke. Another tried to tear a page out. It came out blank. The same student went missing 3 days later. His name was never written in the journal. But afterward, a new phrase appeared on the back cover. You don't have to be written to disappear. When pages are scanned, the digital copies distort. Faces appear in the margins. Words shift when not being watched. One teacher reported opening the journal to find her own obituary, dated 2 weeks into the future. She resigned that same day. But her replacement read the journal too. Now, he's missing. The journal never fills up. Even as pages are written, the thickness doesn't change. Some believe it regenerates. Others believe it loops a recursive structure where the last page leads directly back to the first. And recently, someone noticed something new. On the inside back cover, etched faintly in reversed ink. This isn't prediction, it's maintenance. If I don't write it, it doesn't happen. And beneath that barely visible one final line, please keep reading, I'm trying to get home. Most believe the journal is prophetic, that Elias somehow gained the ability to see forward through time, through trauma, and chose to write it all down. But others see something different. They think the notebook isn't predicting events, it's preserving them, like a backup, like a failsafe, like someone or something is trying to stop the world from forgetting itself. Some believe Elias didn't vanish. He was recruited by a system that needs constant input to hold this version of reality together. Each page is not a warning, it's a code injection. Without the entries, the world begins to unravel. One theory goes deeper, that the journal isn't written by Elias at all, that he was just the last one to hold it, that the notebook moves between hands from person to person, timeline to timeline, seeking someone who will keep the story going. In one of the final entries, hastily written across the margins, is a set of names. Some are recognizable, others aren't born yet. The school counselor found her own name there, next to a phrase in all caps, "Do not let her read page 148. She looked. Page 148 was blank, until the next day, when her office chair was found overturned and her name was no longer in the district system. Now the journal sits, sealed in a safe, its pages still turning. No one dares open it. But somehow, every Monday, a sticky note appears on the front. New entries available. Keep watching. Keep it real. The last note, found just this morning, read, page 200 is the last. After that, you write.